Hello, everybody. So we will start the training of today by talking about what is Voximplant and how do we basically do something in Voximplant platform. You already know Voximplant Kit and most functionalities that we can have there. So basically, the idea of this webinar is to explain what is Voximplant platform and how can we use it, as a developer. So that's what I'm going to try to explain to you in very simple terms, without going in the details. All right. So let me present my screen so I can start talking about Voximplant platform. So I have this scheme and that I think it's accurate to explain what exactly is Voximplant. When we talk about Voximplant, we say that we are a serverless platform. Okay. Now let's start with these definitions. Serverless means that we run in the cloud with no servers. Now, what is the cloud? The cloud is the internet. And to be able to live in the cloud without servers means that Voximplant, it's a platform that is able to exist as a decentralized platform in multiple data centers all over the world. This infrastructure is unique to Voximplant in the communications platform as a service market, and allows us to be very efficient in handling real-time communications. Now, at the core of Voximplant, we find Vox Engine. Vox Engine is the heart of Voximplant platform and of Voximplant, because Vox Engine is a JavaScript. We call it a communications engine, right? But this engine is built in JavaScript. JavaScript is the most common, the most successful programming language in the world, and it's very simple to use. There is a lot of probability that any developer knows a little bit of JavaScript. So JavaScript is a great programming language to build a real-time platform to handle communications. So Voximplant, and specifically Vox Engine, is built with JavaScript, and this engine allows us from the cloud, from internet, to interact with old school telephony systems, with the public telephone network all over the world, and with new technologies like WebRTC standard and voice bots, Dialogflow, speech synthesis, speech recognition. All of these services, we can use them. We can interact with APIs and everything from one single engine. And this is the Vox engine built with JavaScript. Now, I want you to see Vox engine as the core of Voximplant, and this machine built in JavaScript allows us to make calls to more than 200 countries, allows us to buy phone numbers, and be able to receive calls in more than 60 countries where we can buy these phone numbers. These are local phone numbers, or DIDs. That is the other name for these phone numbers. You can, with Vox Engine, you can connect your own contact center, your PBX. Usually a PBX is a contact center that is built is in a server. Usually they are running asterisk to power a lot of contact centers in the world. You can connect to Vox Engine using the zip protocol that we support in Voximplant, specifically Vox Engine. And we can also connect to voice bots and chat bots using Vox Engine thanks to Dialogflow. But if you're using Watson or any other chatbot or voice bot, you can also give it voice capabilities as well as handling omnichannel queues right now. So now we open the box not only to talk about voice bots, but also to handle chatbots with our tools inside Vox Engine. You can also connect WhatsApp, Telegram, and Messenger and your CRM or your email service, because as we now have omnichannel queues inside our Voximplant kit and logic, well, this means that we also can handle this in Vox Engine, these channels. We will review the Voximplant Kit API in another session. We will focus only in Vox Engine and Voximplant platform. And finally, we have WebRTC standard that I mentioned that allows us to make internet calls like WhatsApp calls, Telegram calls. Those are WebRTC calls. These are HD calls going through internet. They don't need any software installation or plugin or anything. They are supported out of the box in any Chrome, Firefox, Safari browser, or Android, iOS devices. And a lot of devices are getting this WebRTC functionality now, as it is a standard. Now, this is Vox Engine. Vox Engine allows us to do all of these things. Inside Vox Engine, we have connections to a lot of providers. Well, not a lot, but some providers that allows us to do all of this, to make calls, to buy phone numbers, this is something that we do ourselves. We use Dialogflow to connect the voice bots, and we support natively WebRTC functionalities. Now, we have two products. We have the platform that it's for developers, and we have Voximplant Kit that is thought to be used by non-technical users, but still, power users in a contact center, or that they need to make massive calls. Now, we have two products, right? We have the platform. And how do you interact with the platform if you're a developer? You can interact with the platform via our HTTP API, via our SDKs. We have Android, iOS, Cordova, Flutter. We have PHP and Web.js SDKs. This would allow you as a developer to build anything, any front, any backend logic that makes use of Vox Engine capabilities. You can also do it do this through WebSocket. So if you're a developer, you can control Vox Engine by using the HTTP API, SDKs, WebSocket, right? Or you're running your code using the modules and the functions that we have in Vox Engine. And if you're a developer, what you have to know is that if you can program it with JavaScript, you can build it in our platform, because we are built in JavaScript. We don't put any restriction on the programming language, and this is something important, because if you look at Twilio, you have to know a new programming language, and this is a programming language that they have built by themselves. So this creates a high curve of learning for any developer that wants to talk with a communications platform. So we make it very easy for the developers to start working with us, because they don't have to learn any new language, programming language. And as you might know, we have also Voximplant Kit. Voximplant Kit, it's a graphical interface to interact with Vox Engine. Now that we have opened Voximplant Kit Contact Center, this is the graphical tool that would allow the non-technical users or the floor manager, and also the agents that this floor manager has in their operation, to be, this will be the way or the interface that they will use to interact with the external world. And I say external world is because the public telephone network or WebRTC or internet calls or SIP calls to any other contact center. These guys, the agents, and this person, this floor manager, they could be remotely working. They just need an internet connection. So that is very interesting of Vox Engine. Vox Engine, it's a serverless cloud engine that lives in the cloud, and from the cloud it operates and do stuff. And how do you tell it to do stuff? If you're a developer, you will use these things. If you're not a developer, you will use Voximplant Kit. Okay, so that is basic overview of Vox Engine and what we are as a platform. Cloud unified communications platform. Let's dive into Voximplant platform interface. Okay, this is the home of Voximplant Kit. This is This is Voximplant platform home. What do we have? Oh, give me one moment. Sorry about that. So, I'm sorry about my doggy. All right, we have the platform. Okay, so here is Voximplant platform. What do we have here? In this top bar, we have the menu, where we can go to each section that I will explain in a moment. We have our logo, and we have the balance here at the right. This balance states what money do we have. One moment, guys. Sorry, I had my breakfast coming. So this is the balance, and this balance states for the amount of money that we have put in the account, that we have charged through a credit card or a wire transfer, and this is the balance that has been used by the services that I have used in Voximplant platform. So if I recharge $100 and I start making calls, this will reduce the balance in my account. So that is the way that we make it easy for the people to start testing our service, to start testing our platform without the need of, signing a contract or do any other commitment. We have notifications here of billing and others like updates and subscriptions of your phone numbers and things like, things not working in your account or some phone numbers being disconnected, and your profile, where we can have the profile API access to create API tokens, payment history. Well, let's dive into applications. Now, what is an application? We said that in Vox Engine, you write code in JavaScript, and this code would allow you to use Vox Engine to do whatever you want, right? Now, the way that we order that logic inside Voximplant is that you can have a scenario and that scenario is the functional logic that would allow you to do something with Vox Engine. And a scenario is a JavaScript script. And a scenario is a JavaScript script that has, code. When you have two scripts and you put them together, we have an application. So an application is a set of JavaScript scripts that could work together. Now, in programming, it's not a good thing to have all your code in just one document, because maintaining this will be very hard. So what you do is that you split your code into different documents or scripts, and each script can handle different portions of your logic or whatever you want to do. So this is just one scenario. One scenario is written in Voximplant in JavaScript. This is Node.js. Node.js is JavaScript, but it's just an easy way to write code in JavaScript. It's more simple. It doesn't have too many rules. You have more freedom, but it's still JavaScript. It's just something on top of JavaScript language, which actually JavaScript is called ECMAScript. All right, that is the real name of JavaScript. Now, these scenarios together, they create an application. If you're a Voximplant user, you can have several applications in your account, as you can see in my account. And you know that in each application, you can have a lot of scenarios, users, numbers, and things related only to that application. So you can have one application, let's say, for your contact center, and you can have another application to handle the calls coming from your WebRTC app, some button installed on your application, and you can have another application to handle the calls from your website, and you can have another one to have a voice bot. So you can manage this however you want. It's up to the developer how they want to structure their code. So in scenarios, you know that we have just JavaScript code that is making use of Vox Engine functionalities. So anytime I use Vox Engine here, I'm telling Vox Engine an instruction to do something. So in this moment, I'm telling Vox Engine, please let me know whenever someone is calling. Okay. Now, as this is the scenario just is just being updated from the engine that is receiving a call. Now let's jump to the second part of Voximplant platform, that it's the routing rules. Let's go back here. Imagine this part of the right, on the right is like the external world, and on the left we have, like, my world, my installation, my people, my agents, me, and my developer. Okay. So, I'm sorry, I got a little bit lost. We have routing rules. What is the reason to have routing rules? Inside Vox Engine, we have, inside Vox platform, we have scenarios that they run a logic. But when I'm receiving a calls, we have here a call. Let's say that I am receiving a call from some country in Germany, right? When I receive a call in my platform in Voximplant, we have to have a routing rule so Voximplant knows which scenario would be used in the event of an incoming call. This call could be a PSTN call. This is a public telephony call, international call, or it could be a SIP call. This routing rule allow you to tell Voximplant what scenario do you want to use when you receive a call from a phone number starting like this, or from a phone number with area code this. So in that way, you can have a rule to handle just, or maybe for countries. I have a contact center in Colombia, so the pattern will allow me with regex, regular expressions, to select. If I have point asterisk, I will, all the calls that I receive will trigger the scenario that I select. In this moment, I will use this scenario. So outbound Seagull is one of these scenarios that is going to be triggered with the information. We're going to send the call to this scenario so we can have what we have programmed the scenario to do. So let's wrap up. We have scenarios. The scenarios have the logic of what a Vox engine is going to do. And the routing rules are the rules that allows us to select for each phone number or for each incoming call or event, because an event that triggers also a rule could be an API request. It doesn't have to be only a call. So routing rules allows us to select the scenarios that are being triggered. Now, what else do we have in Voximplant? I'm going, a little bit not in order, but I'm trying to make it easy to unwrapping the definitions. In Voximplant, you can buy phone numbers. As we mentioned, we have a lot of providers that they, via API, provide these phone numbers to us so we can sell them in our platform. Whenever a customer buys a phone number, we already have it connected, wired, and ready to use. And it's something that takes seconds. If you do this the old school way, you would have to, at least in Latin America is like that. You have to, let's say you have everything here programmed, and you want to buy a phone number. In the past, without Voximplant, you would have to, look for telephony carriers that sell phone numbers, local phone numbers, reach them, ask them for a quote for a phone number, and then you will have to sign a contract. In most of the times, you will have to sign a contract, and this would take, if you're in a hurry, this could take 1-2 weeks if the company is very fast. So 2 weeks to only have one phone number. Voximplant, thanks to all of our integrations, we allow you to buy a phone number in seconds. You can do this here. So we are in the application section. I'm going to jump to the numbers section. So here we can buy phone numbers from all over the world and relate them to different scenarios by using the routing rules. This is really cool to be able to buy a phone number in seconds instead of days. Saves you a lot of time and money, and you can open. And what is really cool about buying phone numbers also in Voximplant is that, let's say that you have your operation in one country, you need to open a new city, you need to open a new country, you just buy a phone number here and you route that call to your scenario. So actually you could open a new country, open a new city by just purchasing a new number and connecting to one scenario. It's that simple. Now, let's go back to our application to see to finish the menu of this application. Now, okay, in this second part, we have the call history. The call history would allows us to know all the calls that I have received or made in this scenario. This is very important for if you're a developer, for debugging. Debugging is correcting your code. A bug is a code or a portion of the code that is not working the way it was supposed to work. Debugging is the process of, testing your code in order to find these errors, correct them, and to have the code to work as it's intended to work. Now, in the call history, we can have a graphical view of successful calls that we had depending on our scenario, because okay, let's jump into our scenario and see a little bit of this logic. It's really simple scenario, but I want you guys to have this little introduction to Box Engine and how we do it. So we define, I'm going to talk about the code. We define call 1, we define call 2, and we define a data. These are variables like the ones that we have in Voximplant Kit. Okay, so we tell Vox Engine, hey, Vox Engine, please let us know whenever we have an incoming call. You guys know that we selected that from the routing rules. When we have an incoming call, this is called E. This E is the event, and that event has the call inside of it. The call is embedded in the event E. So when I say e.call.answer, this answer the phone call that I'm getting in this event. Is that simple, Voximplant. And then I say that the call 2 would be the call that I'm handling. So I'm naming this call like call 2, okay? And then, okay, I connect. If this call is connected, then I will start this function, handle a scenario start. Okay, let's go ahead and see what does this function. So if the call is connected, I will start handle the scenario start. Okay, so this is a function. A function in JavaScript Well, it's something that runs a specific task. Now, whenever I get a call connected, I will handle scenario start. What does this have? What does this function has? We define a call one, and this call one would be, check out, we are using Vox Engine here. We're using Vox Engine to tell that we need to make a call, PSTN call. Who do we want to call? We want to call the number that is here as data. Do you remember that we define data? And I here define data as the destination of this call. So this is a zip call, and the use case is like this. The agent in their old school asterisk PBS, they have a physical phone, and they want to call Russia. And in their physical phone, they dial the Russian number, and then they dial. What that asterisk is doing is sending a zip call here to Voximplant, and what we have to do is, if the person wanted to call to Russia, I have to call from Voximplant to Russia and then connect the agent that is trying to make the call with the person that the agent is trying to call in Russia. This is what this scenario is doing. So here, call one will be to call to that person that the agent wants to call, and the caller ID is, like the caller ID that I'm going to use for the person in Russia will see this caller ID in their phone. Now, if the call gets connected, so if we make the call to Russia and we get a human, then we are going to call the function handle call one connected. Now, what does this function do? This function just says to the call two. Do you remember the call two was the first one, the first call that we got from the agent via zip? So we are going to tell this customer, is this simple Voximplant. We just put, say, I'm going to connect you with the customer, and we specify the language. That's it. In that moment, the agent will hear, I'm going to connect you with the customer in this voice. And then we will call this function handle call to connected. And what this does is that we tell Vox Engine, hey, Vox Engine, please send media between call one and call two. And then for signaling is something that you need. This is to connect the audio, and this is to connect the telephony, so we know, so they talk each other right. Hey, Vox Engine, please connect these two calls. And this portion, this function will allow us to actually connect these two calls. So this was a very, very simple scenario that we could have built very easily in Voximplant Kit. As you can see, it's easy as well in Voximplant platform, but you have to know, if you mess up with this punctuation, you will screw the whole code, and that's the problem with programming, right? But what is cool is that you can actually program in Voximplant. This is something also very unique, because with other platforms you don't have, this is called an IDE. An IDE, I don't forget what it stands for, but it's software that you use to write code and to work with code and debug it, and all of that, all of those functions, you have them here in the cloud. So with Voximplant, you don't need to use an external IDE or set up any environment. What is set up an environment if you're a developer? If I am a developer and I want to use some platform, I would have to download some packages, install some libraries, get some language packages in my computer when I am going to program. And then when I finish my code and I test in my local environment, I have to, let's say, upload my code, upload it, and then test it in some production or some development environment. And then I can put it to production where it will be, serving real customers. That is the process. With Voximplant, you don't have to set up an environment. You already have an environment in the cloud. You don't have to install anything. You just come here and start programming. This is something really cool if you're a developer. But also, if you want to have your own environment, you can do it with no problem. Now, users. What is a user in Voximplant? A user, you can say that it's like an agent. If you have a contact center scenario, but a user for Voximplant is the way that we identify the users that are able to be in a queue in Voximplant. Now, but not, they don't have to be in a queue as a need. I am trying to explain that a user can be used for contact center applications and also for WebRTC applications. WebRTC is calls through internet with video, audio, and data. And these calls, well, they need, if we have phone numbers in the public telephone network, in the WebRTC, we have users. These users allows you to identify, which user is calling who, right? So with a user, you are able to handle calls, incoming calls. You can say, I just created this user so I can receive a SIP call using SIP protocol so I can wake up this scenario. My scenario that we just checked, it's a scenario that can be awakened via normal telephony network phone call or via SIP call. The users are needed to handle SIP trunks, SIP calls in Voximplant, and also WebRTC applications. And also, if you have a queue with contact center applications in your scenario, you would need to create each a user per agent that you are going to have in your queue. Okay, I will leave it that way for now. Now let's talk about queues. A queue is a set of users, and this queue would make use of our ACD, automatic call distribution system, that it's built in Vox engine and has a logic that actually I know that we are getting it upgraded. This logic is to we receive a call and we transfer it to a user. The queues have the logic already out of the box to set up a strategy to pass these calls to each user, to each agent. Now you can have a name of the queue. You can set a priority of that queue, being on the top. The priority weight, you can have a priority weight and a priority queue. So if one, this will be served first. Okay, so the priority weight is to not to have like a limit in the amount of people that you can have in your queue, and you can connect users or agents to those queues. So it's more or less the same as the queues in Voximplant Kit. Now, the call lists are the daddy of the campaigns, the outbound campaigns of Voximplant Kit. Actually, Voximplant Kit outbound campaigns make use of call lists. Now, why am I saying these different terms? It's because if you go to our documentation, we have call list as a function, and this is the outbound automated campaigns. The difference of these call lists in Voximplant platform is that you can create it the same way, the campaign, upload the Excel file, set a priority, you have a number of attempts, you have simultaneous lines. Actually, you in Voximplant platform, you can have up to 50 simultaneous outbound lines for calling. And in Voximplant Kit, you only have up to 5. So that could be an option for a testing user. And we put the Excel file. It's the same thing. It will start calling. If you put it automatic, it will do it itself. If you put manual, is because you are going to handle or to control this call list by API calls, HTTP API calls. So you always choose automatic if you're doing it yourself. If you're going to connect to a CRM or something, you put manual. So each call will be handled or triggered by some external service to Voximplant. I would like to know if you guys have any question or anything. Now, let's continue with SIP registrations. Now, what is a SIP registration? I explain SIP registrations like this. Imagine that a SIP registration is a way to have Voximplant like if it was one of your agents. Let's say you have an old school asterisk contact center and you have 10 agents. You want to be able to send calls from your asterisk server to your from your asterisk PBS from your asterisk PBX to Voximplant. A SIP registration would allow you to create another user in your PBX, like the way you would with another agent. This would be like the agent number 11. And you provide with these credentials, in proxy, you put your IP. You have to give us a name, a username, and a password. And with that information, with your IP, username, and password, and other optional parameters, you would be able to create a SIP registration, and you could send calls to Voximplant the same way you could send calls to any agent in your PBX. So that is what is really cool about the SIP registration, is that makes it very simple for any old school PBX to send calls to Voximplant. And what is really cool also is that it would allow Voximplant to make calls, because we are like an agent, right? We are like an agent, and we can receive calls and we can make calls using the telephony in that PBX, because we are, as Voximplant, we are like an agent in your contact center structure. So that is what is really cool about SIP registrations. What is needed for you to have a SIP registration is that you must be able to, your PBX owner should be able to create a new agent and provide with a username and a password. With that information, we can create a SIP registration. It will be $5 per month to have this connection, and it will allow. Let's go back to our. Scenario, because I could. Let's imagine that I'm using a SIP trunk. I could use the SIP trunk connection, for this PSTN call. I have a PSTN call here. In this call PSTN, I can tell Vox Engine, hey, don't call this person, this PSTN call. Don't make it using Voximplant minutes. Make it using my, make the call from this SIP registration. This is something that I would specify. Instead of caller ID, I'll have to put something like registration ID. And that registration ID is the caller ID of your SIP registration that will allow you to make calls using your own minutes, not the Voximplant minutes. So, well, that it's up to you how you want to use that information. Okay, so that was SIP registration. Push certificates. It's something I would not. This is to be able to send push notifications. What are push notifications? Push notifications are these notifications that you get in your cell phone, being Android or iOS, or it could be a browser. And these push notifications are messages that are received and handled by, Chrome, Android, iOS. And they are really cool because they are like messages, or SMS, but they are free. So that's why they are really cool. And, you have a notification, you can open it and you will see it in your phone. So they are really handled. Dialogflow connector, it works the same way that we do it in Voximplant Kit. You put here your JSON file. I think I have one to test. I have one here. Oh, yeah. Okay, I upload this Dialogflow. Is this simple? But if you want to make it more simple for Voximplant, you can add it here and do the scenario yourself. But the easy way to do it, or let's say the way we do it before Voximplant Kit, it was here in Marketplace. Inside Marketplace, you have like template scenarios that will help you, getting on board. So in Dialogflow connector, it asked me for the JSON file, and it will create a sandbox number. It will create an application and a new scenario with everything connected, so I can just, test that code. Let's check on my applications. Well, I think, this is this one. So it created a new application. And if I check on the scenarios in this application, I would say only this scenario, and this is code added by Voximplant itself. We are using the AI module. This is the AI module used by Vox Engine to connect to Dialogflow. And this is the code. I have everything here. I just can, change it a little bit to make it work for whatever reason I need it to be in Voximplant. And is this simple? So Voximplant platform is a really, really simple to use platform for unify your communications in the cloud without the use of any server. So to wrap up, what can Voximplant do for you? What Voximplant can save you: hiring people, hiring companies to get phone numbers, hiring companies to make calls in each country, in several of them. It can save you the people that you hire to take care of your servers, and the cost itself of the servers, being these cloud servers or physical servers. You don't need them with Voximplant. It's up to us because we are serverless platform. You don't pay for that. You just pay for what you use. And also you can save in traditional calls, in PSTN calls, by using the WebRTC functionalities that we have in Voximplant. Now, a WebRTC call is 90% cheaper than a PSTN call. So with Vox Engine, you can have all of them in the same platform. And what is unique to Vox Engine is that it will allow you to connect a SIP incoming call with an outbound WebRTC call, or incoming PSTN call with an outbound SIP call. You can do this however you want. And this is the superpowers of Voximplant platform. I always say this: if you can develop, if you can program it, you can have it, because we are written in JavaScript. And if you can make it on JavaScript, that it's, almost everything is being done these days on JavaScript: websites, applications, Internet of Things, and also machine learning algorithms. They are all being done in JavaScript. So if you can do it with JavaScript, you can have it here in our IDE in Voximplant. So that is how powerful is our platform, and is versatile. You just use what you need. If you just want to use this simple line of code, you can just use it. And actually, you would only pay for the minutes, the messages, the services. But if you look at it, actually Voximplant is not charging you for this such a great and amazing platform. It's just charging you for the services. And that is something cool, because most of platforms, they charge you for use their technology. We're giving our technology for free. You just pay for the minutes and everything, but our technology is being used for free. The APIs, HTTP APIs, the SDKs, we don't charge anything else for this. This is something that companies might be expecting to be charged for, and that's something to take into consideration. So it will be more than 1 hour. I hope this was a good introduction to Voximplant platform. I hope we can do a more professional tutorial. And if you guys have any question, just let me know via Slack or anywhere else. Bye bye, and thank you. Oh, I see some question. Can we connect QLogic configuration on platform with Kit? Do you mean that we receive calls in Voximplant platform and we send it to a Vox Kit queue? I guess we cannot do that in the moment. I would have to ask Andre, but I'm 80% sure that we cannot. All right. Take care. Bye bye.